Our brand new press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, destroyed NBC News' Peter Alexander over his complaints about Doge cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government. Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about our brand new, amazing upgrade of a press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, destroying Peter Alexander from NBC News about Doge cuts. He's complaining about it, talking about, oh, it's sloppy, it's not done very well, all this, that, and the third. Really, what that means to me is that he doesn't want these cuts to happen because he has a lot of friends and family and whatnot who are probably benefiting from the grift that is Washington, D.C. As I said before, I'm from Virginia. I got family in D.C. and the real D.C., Southeast D.C., not just the surrounding area. And what I know about D.C., that entire town is built on federal money. You're talking about some of the richest counties in the entire nation right there in the D.C. metro area. And you got to ask yourself, why are these counties so rich? Is it because they have some kind of, do they have diamond mines in everybody's backyard? What is the industry in the D.C. metro area and D.C. itself? The industry is you. The industry is me. We're talking about federal government monies that they take from us at gunpoint and they spend from DC and disperse in the immediate area. Now, since we're going to cut a lot of that waste, fraud, and abuse, a lot of these jobs, a lot of these grifts that have been going on for a very long time are going to come to an end. So, of course, they're going to be against it. It's bad for them, but it's good for us. Now, before I go any further, I just want to show you a video clip right quick. I won't play any sound on it. This is Elon Musk over at CPAC. This is very symbolic. You have Javier Milei, the president of Argentina. He comes in and hands a chainsaw to Elon Musk because one of Javier Milei's things was cutting the waste, fraud, and abuse in Argentina. Afuera, all the ministries, all of that stuff is going to go away. That's what should happen. And I like that they showed it symbolically here. Elon is doing the exact same thing that Javier Milei did over in Argentina. Okay. Some don't like it. I love it. Now let's go ahead and go to Miss Karoline Leavitt and hear what she said. Again, she'll be answering questions from Peter Alexander of NBC News. And of course, I will link to this clip in the box if you want to see it and hear it without my commentary. If you're on IG, visit a link in the bio, go to the corresponding article on the website. But without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
We're now hearing from constituents in some traditionally red districts right now complaining about what they say is the chainsaw approach and saying that it's been done very sloppily, the cuts to jobs and spending. How do you respond to that criticism?
I love how the media takes a few critics when the overwhelming response from the American people is support for what this administration is doing. If you look at the public polling, 70% of Americans, according to CBS, believe that President Trump is delivering on the promises he made.
Let's pause right here. Now, if you poll people in Washington, D.C., as I was saying earlier, D.C. people might not like it because it's going to affect their pocket. But the American people whose pockets are affected by D.C. are going to like this a lot. We're going to benefit. They're not.
And there should be no secret about the fact that this administration is committed to cutting waste, fraud, and abuse. The president campaigned on that promise. Americans elected him on that promise, and he's actually delivering on it. And this is something that Democrats promised they would do for decades. President Trump is just the first president to get it done.
Let me ask you about the fraud, if I can. We can all have our own opinion about what is wasteful spending, and Republicans have praised the president for cutting wasteful spending. But fraud, of course, is a crime. So have you turned over evidence of fraud to
I mean, now we're just kind of getting in the weeds. To prove a crime here is a little bit different than just identifying what things are wasteful. We can consider it fraud, but you got to go through a lengthy court process to be able to affix that label on it officially, if that makes any sense.
Justice Department, and when should we expect to see those indictments?
It's a clever question. First of all, I think all Americans would agree that funding mastectomies in Mozambique is not something that the American people should be funding, or DEI programs. I think it's fraudulent that the American government has been ripping off taxpayers in this way. And we also do know there has been extensive fraud, particularly if you look at Social Security. In fact, according to an IG report from the Social Security Administration, there was $71 billion worth of fraud in one single fiscal year that we know about. And so that is a lot of fraud, Peter, that the government has admitted to. So this administration is committed to finding even more of that fraud, waste, and abuse.
Right on. And we saw some of those numbers as far as Social Security, and people were like over 130, 140, 150 still receiving checks. Clearly, that's fraud, because it is impossible for you to be 140 years old. Okay, now, if it is possible, please show me the person who is 140 years old in the US of A. I'll wait.
To be clear, that $71 billion was from 2015 to 2022, so it wasn't in just 1 year. And it was
$71 billion.
But it wasn't in 1 year, just to be clear.
In one report.
And it was in one report over multiple years, from 2015 to 2020.
Okay, so how much fraud was in each year? Let's just say it was $10 billion a year. That's still $10 billion. They throw around these numbers, billion, trillion, like it's nothing. Do you know how much $10 billion is? The average person will never, ever see that much money in their lifetime, unless we get to Zimbabwe levels of inflation, which I pray to God we don't, but I digress.
So are you defending $71 billion in fraud, Peter? That's a lot of money, far too much, and that's why this administration, why is the media so against cutting waste, fraud, and abuse from the government? I don't get it.
I just want to ask a question.
We won't be deterred. We will not be deterred from people like you and the press who are clearly adamantly opposed to cutting waste, fraud, and abuse, but we know that American taxpayers at home who have been struggling with an inflationary crisis don't want their tax dollars going towards crazy DEI programs in countries overseas. They also don't like the fact that there has been $71 billion worth of fraud in Social Security and improper payments going out the door. That's a problem that needs to be fixed, and President Trump is going to fix it. That's your fifth question. Elena.
Amen and amen. Amen and amen. So again, shout out to our brand new and improved White House Press Secretary, Karoline Leavitt, a big upgrade from Karine Jean-Pierre. And it's not because Karine Jean-Pierre is black. I don't care nothing about that. I think Karine Jean-Pierre cares more about her identities, being black and LGBT and a first-generation immigrant or whatever the case may be. I don't care nothing about that. She could be a big green space alien from Mars. Who cares? It doesn't matter. Are you able to go in there and do a good job? That's all that matters. And for the government, are you able to spend the taxpayers' monies appropriately on things that are going to actually help them? Why must my taxpayer money go to, what was that, mastectomies in Mozambique? Why must my taxpayer money go there? I want somebody who would like to defend that to explain it to me. Tell me how that makes sense. And Peter Alexander, you're going to try to defend $71 billion in fraud. They did discover it. Like, it's an actual report. It's not just me opining that it could be fraud or I think that it is fraud. We're talking about an actual report where they documented fraud, $71 billion just from Social Security by itself. And we know where there's smoke, there's fire. If there's fraud there, there's fraud all over the place. The PPP thing, that was a whole lot of fraud on that as well. We're talking about finances in this country, the government spending. There's so much fraud, it's ridiculous. A lot of this money that is earmarked for a thing, as I close, a lot of this money that's earmarked for a specific thing is not necessarily used for that thing. We're sending money to Africa. We're sending money to Asia. We're sending money to Europe. What is it being used for? Why are we funding a transgender opera? What was that, in Ukraine, Serbia? I don't know where it was. Why are we doing that? And is the money even going toward the Transformers and their opera, or is it going into one big guy's pocket? Or do we have a 10 for the big guy type thing happening all over this world with your money? And the thing that the money was supposed to be going toward, we didn't want, let alone the 10 off the top that Joe Biden allegedly got from his little shady deals. But as I close, I want to say this. Shout out to Elon. Shout out to Doge. Shout out to everyone who wants to cut the waste, fraud, and abuse from the federal government. That is a great thing to do. I love it. Doge, I think it's probably my favorite government agency right now. My favorite. I have some ones that are not my favorite. The IRS, for example, I hate with a passion. So I think what's happening right now is good. But again, those who live in DC, those who may benefit from this money otherwise might not like what's happening. I say, hey, too bad, so sad. If you had a job making $250,000 a year, counting how many sprinkles are on donuts, if that was your job, well, look, learn the code, do something else. The same way you told the coal miners in West Virginia when you shut the coal mines down for the Green New Scam, which ain't nothing but yet another government grift that's done to rip you and I, the taxpayer, off. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your thoughts on what Karoline Leavitt said to Peter Alexander of NBC News? You think she said the right thing, the wrong thing, whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. That was 100% the right thing to do, the right thing to say. I am 100% on her side. I'm on the side of anybody who wants to have the government be more streamlined and less corrupt. I don't think anybody who's being honest and who wants the best for this world and who is a good person, I don't think anybody who fits all those qualities has an issue here. Whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.